Here's something I find fascinating about Gen Z. A lot of people talk about them as if they're some kind of mystery. Some say they're too anxious. Others say they're too sensitive. Some think they're incredibly self-aware. Others think they're completely lost. But what if all of these observations are describing the same phenomenon from different angles? What if Gen Z isn't strange at all? What if they're simply the first generation growing up in a psychological environment that no human generation has ever experienced before? Let's explore that. Think about your average teenager 30 years ago. If they embarrassed themselves at school, it was painful. But eventually they went home. The moment passed. The audience disappeared. Now imagine growing up in a world where the audience never really leaves. Where every photo can be shared. Every opinion can be judged. Every moment can be measured. Likes. Views. Comments. Followers. Gen Z might be the most psychologically literate generation we've ever seen. Anxiety, trauma, attachment styles, emotional regulation, terms older generations never learned until adulthood, if ever. But here's the trap. Knowing something about yourself isn't the same as changing it. You can understand exactly why you procrastinate and still procrastinate. Sometimes awareness feels so productive that it tricks us into thinking transformation already happened. But understanding the map isn't the same as walking the road. Most people assume Gen Z is afraid of failure, but I think it goes deeper. Imagine posting something. Hours pass. Nobody responds. Nobody notices. In a world built around attention, visibility starts to feel connected to existence itself. The fear isn't always, what if I fail? Sometimes it's, what if nobody notices I was ever here? That's a very different fear, and it explains why attention has become one of the most powerful psychological currencies of our time. Growing up mid-crisis, climate anxiety, economic uncertainty, pandemics, political division, wars streamed live, AI reshaping industries. Previous generations faced crises too, but usually one at a time. For Gen Z, uncertainty isn't an event. It's the background noise of life. Older generations often accepted harsh, hierarchical environments without question. Many in Gen Z won't. And some people read that as weakness. But here's another way to see it. Creativity, adaptability, and problem solving don't actually thrive under constant pressure. They thrive when people feel safe enough to think clearly. What looks like sensitivity from one angle might just be a different understanding of what lets humans do their best work. For most of human history, identity came from your community, your family, your environment. Options were limited, and that was actually clarifying. Today, a teenager can be exposed to thousands of lifestyles, careers, and philosophies before leaving home. That's extraordinary and exhausting. Many young people aren't struggling because they lack options. They're struggling because they have too many. Previous generations searched for themselves. Gen Z has to choose between countless versions of who they could become. Here's the part that gets overlooked. When people talk about Gen Z, the focus is almost always on the challenges, the anxiety, the uncertainty, the burnout. But this generation has built real skills, adapting to rapid technological change, processing massive amounts of information, recognizing emotional patterns, staying functional inside uncertainty.
These aren't small things. These are survival skills for the world that's actually emerging. History keeps showing us the same pattern. Generations raised during disruption look fragile at first, until the world changes. And suddenly, the very traits that were criticized become exactly what's needed.
So maybe the biggest misunderstanding about Gen Z is this. People see the stress. They miss the adaptation. They see the struggle. They miss the resilience being built underneath it. Because this might not be a weakness at all. It might be the story of a generation learning to survive a world that changes faster than any world that came before it. And if that's true, their greatest strengths may still be ahead of them.